Mr. President.
Senator from Arizona.
I just want to say a few words about the vote that we're about to take and about this process. I do not favor this agreement. I've indicated that I will vote against it. I would like to get to a final vote on the subject and not just have endless cloture votes. It has been offered on the Democratic side that we could go to a final vote if the margin is set at 60, if we have a 60-vote threshold. I say, take it. Let's get to a final vote. We've seen the end of this movie already. The president has sufficient votes to sustain a veto. Therefore, this would simply be an exercise to send something to the president that he would veto and then have that veto sustained. I see no value in doing that. There's no value to our allies to see that there's a split here in Congress or between Congress and the executive on this issue. The president is in his last term. He's not hurt politically by this. There's no reason to do that. So I don't know why in the world we would want to go through that exercise or insist on going through that exercise simply to force cloture on this. And now I would like to send a disapproval motion to the president. That would be fine. But to not get to a final vote because we're insisting on doing that seems to me misguided. Let's agree and go to a final vote and set it at a 60-vote threshold. That would be fine. We know the end of this movie already. And with regard to the amendment itself and the text of it, we're talking about our desire to have, excuse me, to have the hostages released that are in Iran. Everyone would like that. Everyone would like to see Iran recognize Israel. But is a whole agreement, should a whole agreement be based on those two items? No, there are a lot of other things that need to be done as well. Like I said, I don't believe that this was negotiated well. I think it could have been better. That's why I will vote against it if I have the chance. But let's give the members of this body that chance. Let's have a vote on the final product here, the process that we set up with the Corker-Cardin legislation, and not insist on sending something to the president that would be sent back that we know the result of. So I just want to register my support for having a final vote, regardless of where that vote threshold is. And with that, I yield back.
Would the senator from Arizona yield for a moment for a question?
I would yield.
First of all, let me just say thank you for a very thoughtful statement. It reminds me a little bit of what Senator Reid's been asking for by unanimous consent for a week or two, and that is to actually forego cloture votes and that sort of thing. Let's just go to a final vote. But we want a 60-vote threshold. I think the expectation has been for months that there'd be a 60-vote threshold. And if the gentleman from Arizona is comfortable with foregoing all this parliamentary procedure and actually going to an up or down vote with a 60-vote threshold, I think that's the way to do it. That's the way we ought to do this. And I just want to applaud you for what you've just said.
Well, thank you. I do think that this is a serious matter. This is an agreement that's important. It's going to last beyond this administration and beyond the next one. Congress should be on record on this issue with more than just a procedural vote. And I understand the desire to have a vote by a simple majority. That would be the preference. But if we can't get there, and this is a body of compromise, then let's have a vote, a final vote on this subject. As to the matter, let me just say, with these amendments, I'll vote with my colleagues on this side of the aisle on a cloture vote to get to a final vote on these amendments. But if it comes to it, I'll vote against those amendments. Not that I don't want hostages released or Israel recognized, but the entire agreement should not be based on those two items. There are other important aspects of the agreement. And just to pick two as a way to go forward here just doesn't make sense to me. So I'll vote with my party on cloture to move ahead to a vote on the amendment. But if it comes to that, I'll vote against those amendments. So with that, I yield back.